Have you ever felt that life is so stressful that you can either not enjoy as much as before, or even if you enjoy, you don't perform as well as you could? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to reduce stress so that you can feel more fulfilled and you can achieve more of what you want. My name is Olivia Pinto. I help freedom seekers create abundance and harmony while living the life you truly desire. So if you are, like me, a freedom seeker and you wish to have access to valuable information, tips, and tools to create more abundance and to create more harmony in your life, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you'll get notified every time I post a new video for you. Look at stress. It's important to realize that this term is actually a term that comes from the world of physics, and it refers to the interaction that occurs between a force and the resistance to counter that force. Okay, so by definition, the foundation of the word stress is a certain tension, a certain resistance. Okay, so it's important to remember the word resistance because this is what actually happens in the body as far as stress is concerned. So what's the relationship between the terms in physics and stress in our life? Well, I cannot speak about stress without mentioning Dr. Hans Sale, who was an endocrinologist from Europe, and he was the first person that started looking at the effect of stress on the body. And he's considered the father of stress, the father of stress research, the father of stress theory. And he's the one who brought to our attention the fact that when a force is placed on the body counteracts by resisting to that external force. And that is stress, exactly like in physics, but in the body. But because the body is a living system, then a lot of different signs and symptoms and physiological changes occur in the body when a force is put upon it. Okay. So already back in 1936, the research started, and it's actually thanks to his way of looking at stress and connecting it with the body that we have today so many theories, so many modalities, so many sorts of therapies, and so many techniques to actually reduce stress, both in physiology, in medicine, in psychology, in sociology, and in so many areas. So we have today a way better understanding of stress on the body, the functioning of the body, on health, on illness, on healing, on recovery, and so on. And all this is the foundation of the work that Hans Sale did way back then in the early 1900s. So let's look a little bit more deeply and a little bit more specifically on stress. When we say stress, usually the connotation is very negative. Like, would you like to be stressful? No, of course not. Stress is considered something bad, something negative. But I invite you to look at stress from a different perspective, from a more neutral perspective, because stress on its own is not good and not bad, is not harmful and not helpful. Stress is stress. Stress is just the definition, like in physics, the definition that the body is responding to a certain demand for change. Okay, a certain force came in. It can be a physical force, it can be an emotional force, it can be a spiritual force, an intellectual force, an environmental force. On all levels, we have a certain force that requires some changes and the body responds to it. So this is just a fact. It's not good, it's not bad. It's just a fact of how the body functions, okay? So let's take an example. If I go for a run, then as I start running, there is a change on the body. I don't have the same physiology in my body when I run or when I'm at rest. So obviously, as soon as I start running, the physiology is changing. The heart rate is faster. My breathing changes. The blood pressure changes. The tension in the muscle changes. The blood flow changes. It flows less to the digestive system and more towards the musculoskeletal system, and so on and so on. And this is the normal response of the body for me going out there and starting to run. So there is nothing wrong with it. Okay, it's very important that we start by really understanding that stress on its own is just a description that the body is actually responding to a certain change required on it. Okay, as soon as the demand on the body goes down, or in this case, as soon as I stop running, the physiology slowly goes back to its resting normal pace. So if this is the normal response of the body, why do we call stress a negative thing? Well, this is actually a mistake, because stress is not something negative. Stress is just the response of the body. In fact, when we have too much of it, it's not good. But also when we don't have stress at all, it's not good at all. It can even be very damaging to the body, mind, and to our health when there is no stress. For example, there are times where we do need stress because this stress brings us a certain motivation, brings us a certain desire to do some things. In fact, we can see in a lot of pathological situations when people lost motivation and they're like apathic or depressed or non-functioning or really lost the desire to doing anything. This is a lack of stress. Okay, this is when there is the body is not responding almost to anything. It's just there. So what is good stress? What is bad stress? Okay, like now that we know that stress is actually a neutral thing, let's look at when it is supporting the body and when it is not supporting the body. And for that, we need to get familiar with two terms. One of them is eustress. Eustress is a term that describes the positive stress. It's beneficial to the body, mind, and in fact, it's usually related to excitement. I'll give you an example. You're about to go on stage, or you're about to enter a job interview, or you're about to go to an audition in art, or you're about to start a competition, let's say in sports or something. So all those things require a certain adrenaline rush, a certain excitement for you to really feel that like, whoops, it's different than usual. But at the same time, it's related to a certain excitement. It enhances our performance. And we could even call the eustress an energy boost to perform better. I'll give you another example. When we travel, we are automatically changing a lot of things in our lives, even though we may enjoy the travel, but we may change time zones. We may change different climate and conditions, like different temperatures, humidity and dryness. We may go into a very high altitude. We may change the type of food that we eat. Maybe we come from a very mild type of food and we go and visit a country that has a lot of spicy food. And so we are actually changing a lot of things when we travel. So while the experience may be great, it does require a lot of changes on the body. And again, this is a good stress on the body. And that's why traveling is actually very, very healthy. It's proven scientifically that traveling is very healthy. And not only it's healthy, usually when we travel, we're excited. Not only we're excited, when we hear that someone booked a vacation, we say, oh, really, where to? We immediately get this excitement about just the thought of someone going on a vacation. Okay, so this is a type of positive stress. Now, when there is no stress at all, as I said, it's very, very bad and we become very apathic. That's why when we have intentions, think of the word intention. I have an intention. I want to do something. When I have an intention, I'm focusing on a function and an activity, right? If we break the word intention, it's building internal tension. Because we need that little stress to kick in. We need that little stress to create a boost of energy, a boost of motivation, a boost of excitement for us to perform better. And actually, when we're stressed with eustress, we perform at our best. On the other hand, we have its opposite term, and this is when the stress is not healthy and does not benefit the body mind, and it's actually what we refer to as negative stress, and the real term for that is not stress but distress. So distress is not related to excitement. Distress is actually related to anxiety, to worry, to fear, to some emotions that are much heavier, okay, much harder to handle, much more charged. And so what happens to our performance when we're under distress? We actually have a lesser chance to perform well. It often impacts our performance. So if I'm going to a job interview, or if I'm about to start a competition and I have this eustress, I'm all pumped up to the competition, then my performance is going high. But if I'm caught up with the fear and the worry and all that, and that already creates distress in the body, then my performance will actually be impacted by it in a negative way. For example, when we go through an acute, sudden, very powerful separation, for example, the death of a loved one or a divorce, or we have to, because of circumstances, we have to leave the country that we live in and let go of everything and everyone. These are examples of distress. Another example of distress, which is less acute and sudden and can be more accumulative and long-term, is, for example, financial problems, having money issues, going through bankruptcy, not having enough money, being unemployed, not having a job security. So you may have a very good salary and even enjoy your work, but guess what? You may have a certain worry or fear because you're not sure that you're going to continue working in that company because you heard that they may fire a few people and you're one of them. So these are examples of stress that creates a poor performance and actually does not benefit the body mind. Why is it so negative? Because it initiates the fight and flight response in the body. We are on survival mode. Now, the body is meant to fight and to survive for short periods of time. But when it's accumulated, when it happens over and over and over, or this becomes our normal state of being, that start impacting the function of the body mind, whether it's our nervous system, endocrine system, our respiratory system, our digestive system, our sleeping patterns. So many things are impacted by that, and that is really, really bad for the body mind. So the worst part is when distress is chronic. It's that bad. You may not know that distress is one of the main causes for diseases. A lot of diseases are actually based on having too chronic of a distress period. A lot of diseases are not caused directly by stress, but they're definitely aggravated by having distress. And the same goes for the opposite side, the healing, the recovery, the rehabilitation. Distress aggravates it, slows it down. Whereas if we're in eustress, we can rehabilitate faster, we can heal better, we can recover way better than when we have distress. Okay, so let's summarize. So far, we have stress is just the objective function of the body. It's the response to changes and different forces. If it's a healthy one, we're going to use stress, usually related to enthusiasm, to excitement, and to good performance. It really supports the body mind. And when it is negative, this is the distress, we actually go into fear and worry and anxiety mode. It is not good for the body mind, and it really decreases performance. So those things, those forces put on the body in the language of stress are called stressors. Even though the stressors are the ones that trigger the response of the body, they're very subjective. They're very, very subjective. We cannot say that all the stressors are good or all the stressors are bad. This is also relative. For example, is a surprise party a good thing or a bad thing? You see, if you have a person that loves it and he loves being in the center of attention, in the spotlight, and he loves partying and seeing all his friends, and he opens the door and like, wow, surprise, and wow, that's great and cool, and he's excited, like, oh my God, all those people thought of me, and that's fun, and it's going to be a very, very good stressor, okay? That will create a lot of eustress and a lot of joy and happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment and so on. But if the person is very introvert and shy and doesn't like to be in the spotlight and does not like surprises, and you throw such a birthday party or the surprise party and they open the door and it's like, boom, all their friends are there, the reaction will not be the same. Obviously, it's going to put a lot of distress on the person. Worry, how do I look like? Oh my God, everybody's looking at me. Worry, fear, anxiety will be kicked in rather than excitement. So this is a classical example to show you that most of the stressors are actually very, very relative. It's not good, it's not bad, it's the way we perceive them. It's our perception that defines them as good or bad. It's our perception, whether we are conscious of it or subconscious of it. It's our perception that actually creates this response in the body or this response in the body. I want to share with you 5 tips that will help you reduce that stress and feel way better very, very instantly. Tip number 1, as simple as it sounds, is breathing. Observe your breathing. It doesn't mean that you have to make the breathing faster, slower, deeper, nothing. You don't have to change anything. You just need to focus and bring your attention to the breathing and be aware of the direction of the breathing. In my mind, I say, now I'm breathing out. Now I'm breathing in. Now I'm breathing out. So it's the awareness of the breath. Tip number 2 is to give yourself a very specific facial massage. There are a few areas in the face that tend to hold more tension than other areas. Okay, the first one, and I'll take my glasses away. The first area are the eyebrows. You know, when we're very stressed or worried, the eyebrows tend to be very tense, to contract and get closer to another. So just stretching them out a few times, stretching them out, and then you can expand the fingers and do the forehead as well. So you do the eyebrows and the forehead as well. Just doing that for a few minutes or seconds, even if you don't have enough time, and already you can feel a certain reduction of tension in the upper part of your face. Another area that tends to hold tension is the area of the bone, the cheekbone here. Okay, so what you can do again, you can either stretch out from the center towards the sides, towards the ears, just with a little bit of pressure, just put your fingers and move them, or you can even do a little bit of circles, you know, as if you had a tiny, tiny little coin there that you want to move and rotate. You can just put pressure there, again, from the center towards the ears. This is an area that tends to accumulate a lot of tension. And the third area that has a lot of tension is the jaws. You know, when we're stressed out, we tend to clench our teeth and create a lot of tension in the area of the jaws. So again, opening a little bit the jaws, you can even move the teeth from side to side. And just massaging a little bit this whole area, all the way from the ears, all the way down here, this whole area, opening the mouth and massaging with a little bit of pressure. And that is really, really, really helping a lot. Tip number 3, and related to facial muscles, is smiling. Now, I know that when we're stressed out, the thought of smiling feels very fake, but you know what? Fake it. Because when you smile, so many muscles are involved with smiling. When you smile, they're not like, but when you really smile, even you can try to laugh or remember a joke or something, or remember a funny situation from the past. When you really smile, it starts triggering a whole chain of reaction that also helps to reduce stress. Tip number 4 is to count from 19 to 1. You count down 19, 18, 17, 16, all the way to 1. And guess what? If you make a mistake and you skip a number, oh, no, forgot 16, don't go to 15. Each time you make a mistake or skip a number, start again from 19 all the way to 1. When you get to 1, go up all the way to 19. You get to 19, go back all the way to 1. It sounds like a very easy exercise, but you'll be amazed to see how many times you skip a number and you have to start again from 19. Now, if you want to either make it more advanced or you want to save a little bit of time, you can combine the first exercise of observing the breathing together with the counting. And what you can do is each time you breathe in, for example, you breathe in, you observe the breath, you breathe out. And when you finish one cycle, breathing in and breathing out, you say a number, 19. Breathe in, you breathe out, 18. You breathe in, you breathe out, 17. And each time you find that you skipped a number, you start from the beginning again. This really helps you to not worry, to not think of the external. It helps you to focus on the here and now, the breathing and the counting. It's very, very, very efficient. I still feel the blood flow on my face right now, you know, it's really pleasant. You should try it even when you're not stressed out, the massage. Okay, so the tip number 5 is to ask yourself the following question. What can I do to either change the situation or change the way that I feel? And why is this question so important? First of all, when you ask yourself this question, it means that deep inside you understand that there is something that can be done. So you're not hopeless, the victim of, but you're in solution mode, not problem mode. Number 2, it helps you take responsibility for your situation and say, what can I do? Try to shift my whole approach and energy and perspective, remembering that stressors are subjective in nature, that they're very individual. How can I find the positive aspect of it so that I can move from fear and anxiety to excitement? Another advantage of asking this question is that when you ask the question, you immediately tune into the field of possibilities. I may not know the answer right now, but just the fact that I'm asking this question throws out there and reminds me that there are so many possibilities out there, and I haven't grabbed the possibility that suit me yet, but there are many possibilities out there. And so just looking at things this way is a very abundant way of handling it. Because if we say I have only option A and B and both of them are not good for me and there are no other options, then I go into scarcity mode. Then I go into not enough, lack of possibilities, and therefore I'm restricting myself and I'm increasing the distress. Whereas when I ask, what can I do? And I open myself to more possibilities, I relate to the abundance, I connect to the abundance mentality, and then I go more into eustress and excitement. So once you ask yourself this question, narrow it down to an activity. It can be a very, very small activity. Do it immediately. Don't wait. Don't say, okay, I understood that I need to take a shower, but I'll do it in half an hour. In the meantime, I'll just sit and worry. No, as soon as you decide what the action is that will help you change either the situation or the way you feel, do it immediately. Now, since we're talking about stress or distress, I created for you a free resource, a PDF that includes 10 ways to nurture yourself. Why is it so important? Because the techniques I gave you today, the tips I gave you today, the breathing, the counting, the facial massage, and so on, these are great to reduce immediate stress, to take action right here, right now. But if we want in the long run to not fall into the path of constant chronic distress, it's very important that we learn to nurture ourselves on a regular basis, to accumulate these self-nurturing activities that are extremely helpful and beneficial in shifting from distress to eustress, in feeling more fulfilled, in feeling more motivated, in feeling more enthusiastic, in feeling more excited about something, improving our performance, helping the body-mind to heal better, to prevent disease, to recover better from a disease, and so on and so on. So self-nurturing is very important. You can pick it up for free over on my blog at oliviapinto.com/16. I will leave a link for you above or below this video, and when you click on the link, it takes you to my blog, or if you're already on my blog, you'll see under this video a big green button. Click on the big green button and it will take you to the PDF, the downloadable resource with the 10 tips to self-nurturing. When you apply either 1, 2, 3, or all the 10 tips that I write there, you will feel much more at ease with yourself, you will feel more excited, you will feel lighter and happier, and you will perform better. Here's a question for you. What do you do to handle stress, to reduce stress, or to handle sudden changes in your life? Share your answers in the comment section below. I would love to know how you reduce stress levels. If you like this video and you feel it added some value to you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends wherever they are in the world, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao, ciao.